Welcome to STARS Launch Pod, where we chat with innovators who are overcoming challenges, pushing boundaries, and collaborating to make space more accessible and sustainable for humanity, one launch at a time.
It's one small step for man.
Here's your host, Susan Wise.
Welcome to STARS Launch Pod, Space Technology and Research Sciences, brought to you by starsciences.org, where we connect, collaborate, and accelerate. I'm your host, Susan Wise, and joining us this time is Esther Gulacsi, astronautical architect, and also known as the Mushroom Girl. And I cannot wait to dive into that and exactly what that means, Esther. Welcome to the show.
Hi, Susan. It's nice to be here.
So tell me more about what it means for you being an astronautical architect and more about this mushroom girl, cosmic mushroom girl. What does that mean?
Astronautical architect basically came from, it's the same as space architecture. Just if you try to Google space architecture, there are a lot of companies coming up because space, as in volume, as in square, or wherever you are, that is a space. So it's not to outer space or deep space. So I wanted to change that because astronautical architect also showcases that I'm focused on deep space. I'm focused on human life beyond Earth. So I was hoping that if it's not space architect, then it's clearer what is my aim and what is my goal. And Fungi came in as a solution for space radiation protection, because I heard at the International Space University during the lectures one too many times that space radiation is still one of the biggest challenge of human space exploration. And I started to look into that, because what are architects for if not trying to find solutions for impossible problems? So I started to look into, and that ties in with an aha or breakthrough moment when I realized in 2021 that fungi could be a solution for space radiation. Because I was reading up on the history of fungi and how many species there are, and when they started to grow and became an organism on Earth. And it turns out that they are almost 1 billion years old. And back then, radiation levels were way higher. The atmosphere was much thinner. So I thought that probably fungi is a good potential solution for radiation protection, because they were thriving in that high level of radiation.
Now, do you use the mushrooms or the fungi for experiments on radiation, or are they specifically used in protection?
All of these. I mean,
Oh.
and I think that's why everyone calls me a mushroom girl, because it's like getting into the rabbit hole. Like Alice, you start looking into mushrooms, then you start taking medicinal mushrooms and start growing them and inoculate them. And I had a small DIY lab at home, so I can inoculate Petri dishes and agar plate. And I drew mycelium spheres. Just a second, I try to show it. It's right here. So I drew a mycelium sphere. It actually looks like the Death Star.
It does.
I mean,
I was just going to say that.
exactly. So, and it's not a Death Star.
No.
It's mycelium. It's mycelium, and I grew it for an experiment. Hopefully that will come at some point in the future. But I'm growing another one.
Have you had
Pardon?
success with your experiments on these?
Yes, because I made other samples. Actually, I will take this out. I made this at the European Space Agency while I was there as a trainee, because I wanted to develop a flexible radiation protection, radiation shield.
Is
And
this for their suits or for the capsule?
Mainly, I thought it would be great for Sierra Space's life habitat because it can be the outer layer, especially because Vectron, I use Vectron fabric, but Vectron, what they use for the life habitat is extremely UV sensitive. So it require some shielding anyway. My goal was to find something that can be added to that or an additional layer. But as you said, yes, it could be, or hopefully it could be used in the future for spacesuits, anything that is flexible. And I created other types. I have 2 patents, one for this. And I went to the NASA Space Radiation Laboratory in New York to carry out my experiment on these samples. It was such a fun 10 days. I learned so much, and the staff there is amazing. Nuclear physicists and particle physicists with human skills. I mean, they were able to explain me everything. Um, they were very helpful and very knowledgeable. And that experiment was pretty successful, in my opinion, because it shows potential. I wrote a paper with one of the particle physicists and a microbiologist who works in France. So it was an international collaboration with someone from the NASA lab, someone from France, and me in Italy. We wrote the paper and published it last September after a very interesting peer review. I mean, usually peer reviews are hard and difficult. People write difficult opinions, and I found it really helpful. I mean, even if some people can be very mean because it's anonymous, but if you look further, it can be very good, very constructive. So I think it made the paper so much better.
Would you say this is what you're currently working on to help further the space industry? Or are there other things on your plate?
I'm pushing for radiation protection as an ongoing effort currently as well. I finished one of the papers in the series of radiation protection for the Earth and Space conference, which will be in April in Texas. And I'm writing a chapter for an upcoming AIAA book on space radiation protection. So that's what I'm working on currently. And while I'm growing another mycelium sphere, and I will create a protection layer for that. That will take some time. And then I can hopefully take it to another experiment, not to the NSRL, to somewhere else. So that's the current work.
Now, this material, I know you're focused on using it in space. Would it also be applicable in some situations right here on Earth?
This one, I doubt. Maybe if you want to work under an ozone hole, and where the sunshine or the radiation is really high. But otherwise, you don't really need this because
Okay.
this is for galactic cosmic rays, not necessarily for solar radiation.
Okay. What has been one of your biggest challenges on this journey, and how did you overcome it?
I think my biggest challenge was to actually get irradiation time at NSRL because I'm European and they favor American researchers. Of course, I'm also not a scientist, or I don't think I'm a scientist. I'm an
Oh, I think
architect.
you're a scientist.
Thank you very much. But I was very lucky because one of my mentors at the International Space University, Dr. Radamesh Cordero, he works at Johns Hopkins, and he also has a company called Melatech. And they also wanted to go to NSRL. So we teamed up. This way, I was able to go and carry out my experiment. But the other, probably bigger challenge, because it will require way more time and way more patience than I have, is to actually get there that there will be radiation shielding everywhere. Because obviously that's the goal, to provide radiation protection for Blue Origin, Sierra Space, Axiom, in Europe, Spartan Space. Voyager, Starlab, I can list down. It's a long list. It takes time, not just research and development, but for these actors to realize that they need it and they need it sooner than later. Um,
I mean, we have plans
that's
to go to
challenge I
Mars,
haven't seen
so
yet.
yeah.
Yeah, but that will be a little bit further up. But you have a very good point there, because we will need proper shielding for that spacecraft that carries astronauts to Mars, because that won't be a 3-day trip like to the moon. And so far, there's nothing. And we don't know how to transport ourselves just
Safely.
using some. Yeah, it would be nice, like Star Trek style.
Right, right. Do you have any advice that you'd like to share with our listeners?
Just keep on going. I mean, if you ever have some challenges in front of you, like a lot of successful women say, split that challenge into manageable steps and just don't give up. Try to collaborate and find women around you or wherever on the world, because basically with the internet, you can reach out to anyone on the other side of the globe. And if they are like-minded, then you can connect, you can collaborate, you can help each other. And if it's a mentor, they will help you, but also look for women who need help. So maybe you can help them to get where they are heading.
It's good advice. I like that. Esther, let's talk about a passion project for you, past or present. What's your passion
Oh my God,
project?
there is always one, but using fungi for space radiation, that is one. I mean, right now it's driven by passion, but also because of recent events, I found my way back to my creativity, like drawing. I started a Redbubble shop where I'm
Redbubble
always,
shop.
yeah, you can order T-shirts and mugs
Oh,
and
okay, right.
notebooks and everything or stickers with drawings on them. And I started to draw these kind of silly astrofungi. She's a fungi who travels in space. So it has a suit. He doesn't need a suit, but he needs oxygen, because mushroom needs oxygen as well. And he travels with friends and he goes and repair Voyager, or I haven't drawn that, but I've drawn one. It repairs a geo satellite or visits Lycia Cube, which is an Argotech satellite, which was launched not long ago, and makes a selfie with it, and just silly drawings. And I started to, or return to pottery, making mugs and monsters, octopuses, and all kinds of sea life. Um, and I made a mug with astrofungi as well, but it's not glazed and fired yet. But
Well, Esther, it can't be all
it's fun.
work and no play. So it's good that you make
Very right.
time for your creative side and for other things that bring you joy, to be balanced. And speaking of balance, I want to know, what is your support system like? How do you have a lot of people around you that support you?
I think family always. Luckily, we stick together, and I have a very encouraging dad, and I had a very, very supportive mom. And I have cousins and brothers and lots of friends who believe me way more than I believe in myself, which is really helpful because they always give you a confidence boost. I think everyone, especially women, struggles with imposter syndrome and not
Mm,
believing in us. And it's good to have a couple of friends around you who will tell you that
yeah.
that's so not true. You could do whatever you want to do. That's really good.
And I think that what you're working on is so valuable and so important to everything moving forward with the space industry. It's crucial, your work, and it's very important. And I'm very grateful that you joined us today and let us pick your brain a little bit about what you're doing. And I would love to talk again in the future and see what new things are coming up. Is that all right?
Thank you. And I can't agree more, because for safe human exploration, we need space radiation shielding. And I'm hoping that next time when we talk, I can talk about lots of new successes and lots of new projects.
Absolutely. Esther, thank you so much for joining us today. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Susan.
Be sure to join us where we connect, collaborate, and accelerate. And if you enjoyed this episode, make sure you leave us a review and subscribe. Until next time, keep looking up.
Don't miss an episode. Subscribe on your favorite streaming platform. Watch us on YouTube and follow us on social media. Stars Launch Pod, propelling us forward, one launch at a time.